All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I know y'all are tired of hearing me count down, but that's how I do the recordings, and I have no editing experience, Extract people. So thank you, Extract and paranormal people. So I try not to edit. I am here. It's Lee, the Extract director, and I am here with two great friends of the paranormal track, William and Christina. They have been with us. William, you said since 2000. Christina,
Yep.
it's probably close to that, isn't it?
Oh gosh.
I know it all
I
becomes this.
started as a volunteer for the paranormal track. The first
Mm.
year it was there.
Oh, okay.
So I think this would be like technically my 17th Dragon Con.
Wow. I know. It gets at that point you're like, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've
Okay.
been on the track since 2000,
Yeah.
but I started in the art galleries like in the mid 90s.
Oh,
So
okay. There you go. See?
uh,
It gets more and more. You
yeah,
kind of whoosh.
I
Yeah.
stopped counting because this would have been 20
Oh,
Dragon
wow.
Cons with
Congrats.
panel.
Yep. I hit my 20th year. Was it 19 or 8? 2019 or 2000. I always have to look it up too. I don't remember how long I've been doing this either.
It's been
I
forever.
It's been,
started
I'm old. I'm tired.
in 2000.
I remember when it was all about Star Trek.
Oh yeah, there you go. All about Star Trek and games. That was it. So William and Christina, as we're all wearing something very crypto right now, because we're going to talk about cryptids in the U.S., Mothman, cryptozoology.
It's not
Woohoo!
Batman, people.
Not all
It's
of y'all.
Mothman.
Mothman, not Batman.
I've got Mothman, the Bigfoot.
UFOs. I see some
I don't know.
UFOs.
There's cat hair.
There's cat hair and puppy hair, which is awesome.
That too, but there's Loch Ness on there too.
Loch Ness is on there too. I know that's actually the Dragon Con dragon this year looks like a little like Nessie, and I'm like, I'd love to call it Nessie, but I want something else, so I'm trying to come up with another name.
Isn't there like a Loch Ness monster up in New England?
Chappie. Yep.
Chappie, yep.
There's Chappie, and there's another one. I just watched it the other day. Yes, folks, I do watch them. Yes, I do. I
Which
watch a lot of them.
reminds me on History. I can't remember if it's Discovery or History Channel. They're actually doing a special on the Mothman's Chicago
wow.
sightings.
Okay. Well, and as you bring that up, let's talk about Mothman. So many people may or may not know Mothman the first time, as far as I know, William, and you can correct me, started in Point Pleasant, but yeah, talk about Mothman, the
Yeah.
early sightings and where we've gone since then.
Mothman started in, his modern legacy started in Point Pleasant around 1966, 1967, which is all documented in the book, The Mothman Prophecies. But you do have early sightings from the 1800s.
Oh, really?
Which
wow.
they don't call him Mothman. They describe him more as just a standard flying creature. So a lot of people have connected it to Mothman and a Native American curse, which the Native Americans say is, some say, but a good chunk of them say it's not true. But there was a lot of fighting and, of course, battles against the Native Americans in that area back during that time. So whether they did curse us or not, who knows?
I wouldn't blame them if they did.
Yeah, but it kind of goes. Yeah. It does kind of go weird for it being a curse, considering he always shows up before a big disaster,
right?
Which is kind of like a warning. So if it's a curse, that's kind of weird.
It's a decent curse.
Yeah.
Of all the curses you're going to have. Yeah. Can you talk about that? Like his first modern, how did it come about? What was going on? And then what was he warning about?
Yeah, that is a big mystery. He showed up in a couple of reported cases to the police department as attacking people who were making out around Point Pleasant, around the, I guess you could call it a lover's lane, but it was a ammo storage places or TNT storage. And one of the most famous ones, he attacks the kids in the car and scratches up the car and apparently got his claws into the roof of the car. There was the other one where the people seem to have gotten burned by not just Mothman, but a UFO sighting, but they were cheating. They were not really a married couple. They were cheating on their significant others. So that one didn't get reported too well into more modern times.
Okay.
But the story is he was cited a lot by not just people in that area, but people in their homes. A famous case was he was in someone's front yard and then took off, and all they really saw was the red eyes. And that all happened before the collapse of the Silver Bridge around Christmas.
Yeah.
In I think that was 67.
That sounds right. It was six.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up exactly.
Hold on,
But,
I got it right here.
oh, you got it right there.
I got
There
my
you go.
notes.
Woohoo.
Yeah, 67 is what
Oh,
they
and
have here.
as we're talking about that in the notes, and yeah, this is the Mothman Prophecies does there's a lot of info in it, but the movie The Mothman Prophecies pretty much takes a couple of things. So if you think you know everything about Mothman because of that movie,
Yeah, the movie takes a lot of liberties, and it holds up really just on the weird, strange case of doppelgangers,
yeah,
which were reported, but more throughout the years now, investigating it more, and especially on my end, I don't think they're related too much. I think they go more into the injured cold UFO type thing than
okay,
they do Mothman itself. Now they are intertwined, but I think, but this is my theory, and a lot of people say I'm wrong.
no,
But I really think that they do their own thing too. They
mm,
don't just always work together.
okay,
You got the Mothman stuff, and Mothman can think for himself and do whatever he wants. And then, of course, Injured Cold has his own agenda
mm-hmm,
of what's going on. And that Mothman Prophecies leans more towards Injured Cold than it does Mothman.
yeah, yeah,
But the movie is really circling more around Injured Cold than it does the Mothman.
yeah,
Although the whole thing about the wife is in the movie is more fictitious. The movie's
yeah,
heavily based on the book,
mm-hmm.
but it goes and takes artistic license
It,
everywhere to make a good movie.
to make a good movie. I mean, that's how a lot of them do. And Christina, you were talking about this too with before we started, but you both talking about Injured Cold. So who is Injured Cold, and how does that all relate together with the Mothman stuff? Christina or William. So that would be William. Sorry, I thought that was Christina. Sorry, Christina. We'll talk about you in a minute. Yeah.
Well, Christina has really went into the whole Men in Black, which is
Yeah, that would
highly
be okay.
connected to Injured Cold.
Mm-hmm.
Injured Cold is weird. You have there's two theories about him: that he is a visitor from another dimension on the human plane who's talking to us and warning us, but we can't really understand what the heck he's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the other theory that he's an alien.
Okay.
And there's been some other theories going on, but he has made communication with a lot of people throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
And like right now, based on descriptions of him from the 60s, he'd be close to 100 by now.
Mm.
And now with the sightings in Chicago, there's been people claiming to have had communication with Injured Cold. Now, if that is just an invented name that
Somebody else may be using it now, or
yeah, that's possible. That's a theory I've had. If it's an actual person from another dimensional plane, of course, then there's probably no age necessary.
right? Yeah. Come whenever you want. Yeah.
But then, like with Hellier,
Mm-hmm.
where the emails from what I am understanding, they think the email came from him.
Okay. And Hellier, for those who might not be all up in this, but if you're watching this, you probably are. Hellier is it's basically 2 limited series talking about,
It started with the Kentucky Ghouls.
the Kentucky Ghouls, and then, it's gone into more now.
Yeah, and it's highly metaphysical because it
Mm-hmm.
connects aliens, UFOs, ghosts, Mothman all into one thing, which is a theory. I don't know if you remembered when I've talked about ghosts. That's my theory about ghosts. It's been that way for years, that they're not separate things, that they're all interconnected.
Okay.
Yes, UFOs can and aliens can be extraterrestrial from another planet, but why are they diving into the oceans? Why are they diving into the rivers? Why are creatures like the Kentucky Ghouls popping out of caves? And they kind of resemble Greys.
Yeah.
You have things like that going on, and you have cave systems that are so deep and so big, they've not been explored completely.
No, no,
Uh,
and all of the work.
Impossible.
Sorry, Christina. Yeah.
The caves are about impossible to explore, at least safely, without dying.
Yes,
yeah,
I mean that's a big part of it, and also it's in an area where a lot of mining was done. So these caves are also a little bit worrisome about that because those are not the most stable
yeah. Well, I
areas.
forgot who did a special recently. No, it wasn't. It was that series about Skinwalker,
Mm,
where they went into the caves and they got sick,
yeah,
almost passed out.
yeah, and it's
So,
just
and then of course now more information is coming out about Skinwalker. When you start reading the records and the papers, Indrid's mentioned.
oh really?
Hmm. So it's like, okay, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Is he like the leader of the Men in Black or so? I mean,
Well, I mean, how
Dan
did he?
Aykroyd,
Oh, sorry, Dan
the
Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd when he was doing his special on UFOs and ghosts,
Mm-hmm.
he had a couple of what I've understood is he had a couple of episodes in the can ready to run. The series was a go.
Mm-hmm.
He went out to take a break. He saw what looked like Men in Black coming into the offices. Went back from his break to talk to the guys, and they canceled the show right then and there.
Yeah.
Oh
It
wow.
was actually, it was typical Men in Black because he was outside. I think he was on the phone talking to somebody, and maybe like smoking a cigarette. And it was typical. He saw the Men in Black, dressed and dressed, and the typical, black car.
Mm-hmm.
He saw the car and everything, and like Will Sell, he goes inside, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, it's canceled. They
The
had a
money
whole
people are like, no.
theory,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Just and they were discussing about, according to him, they were discussing about renewing,
Mm.
not just making more episodes, but
Going
going
on
into
to a second,
a
to
second
yeah.
season, and they were all happy about it. And boom! And the other thing about it is he no longer has access to the footage. So
Oh
what did
no.
he find?
Yeah. What was so worrisome and so?
And like even he said, he goes, I don't know. I mean, it goes, whatever it was, it didn't trigger a light bulb with me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And going back to the Mothman,
Yeah.
with Men in Black, it's funny because Mothman's it's like a cryptid, but yet you have such an influence of Men in Black involved with the stories, which
Mm-hmm.
Men in Black always seem to be involved with UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they were interrogating people during the incident, and when John Keel was doing all of his research,
Yeah. He talks about that. Yeah.
Men in Black were like, interrogating him and just causing a wreck. And I forgot the lady's name. She worked in the office at Point Pleasant, and she was in the book, I think.
The one who ran the paper. I was trying to think of her name as well,
Yeah.
and I can't.
Yeah, I'm actually going through here trying to get it.
Can't remember her name. Oh, but yeah, she talked about it. Yes.
I think there was two incidences where they actually came into her office
Yeah.
and were kind of, off-putting, and were kind of like asking her like, well, do you write about UFOs and stuff? She's like, yeah, blah blah blah. Well, you need to stop doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you had the guy who was going around to the parties and stuff, always talking about what if she stopped recording, like
Yeah.
trying to pressure other people.
Yeah. Don't
Mhm.
tell her
I
anything.
mean, not recording, but reporting.
Right.
And he had the recorder that was never working. Like he
Mm,
was supposedly interviewing people with a tape recorder, and a lot of people noticed that the tape recorder was never working.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and how did Indrid Cole get to be part of Mothman, though? I mean, what was the original connection with that?
Oh, that one is multi-reported.
Okay.
There's
And
some
we like
people.
all multiples. Go for
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
there's some people. There's some claims that he initially called John Keel
Hmm.
and was kind of tipping him off on stuff, but then also warning him about stuff not to do,
Mm-hmm.
and but would never meet face to face. But then there's that report that in some other town in Kentucky, that I think it is Hellier or
Mm-hmm.
close to Hellier, where Indra did meet with people in John Keel.
Mm.
But that's been stuff that I've heard more recently, and I've not found in books or in sources and stuff like that. But I've also, this is kind of strange because unlike my ghost and UFO investigations, this has been kind of like an offshoot for me. It came from me doing those other investigations where I started noticing these names popping up more, and I started noticing like the Men in Black stuff when Christina was researching that, how they even started connecting into some ghost cases.
Mhm.
And so that's where I started making the connection of Mothman into all of this. And so I'm versed in Mothman, but when it comes into like Indrid and the whole thing, that's the new tie for me. So I'm not completely like 15, 20 years versed in this
Right.
yet.
Yeah. Not yet.
But I've been seeing like, okay, in Mothman prophecies, Indrid makes connection with Keel
Right.
through the phone. But in the Hellier stuff, they also say that Indrid has made connection with the press a little bit. And then with the new Chicago stuff, he's been making connection with investigators.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
it's kind of strange. And then you have his name pop back up with people who were investigating Mothman around New York before 9/11.
Oh, really? I didn't hear
That
about
stuff
that.
is starting
Has
to
that
come
been
up
heard?
as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's strange. I don't know. I know his name pops up, but I don't understand completely why. But Indrid Cold, the first reports of him with Mothman shows up with John Keel and making connections with John Keel.
Okay.
But he's also apparently made connections with some of the people who are victims through the Men in Black.
Okay.
So, that it's really very interesting
So,
how he pops up. But
so, oh, sorry. Keep going. Nope.
Like Men in Black, when they show up, normally they're interrogating like UFO investigators. Like UFO investigators that are like really hardcore, that are doing a lot of research in the field, and a lot of times, if maybe they're getting too close to something or just they know too much, the Men in Black show up and they put pressure on, like, hey, you better stop doing your research, you better stop doing this, or there's consequences, and that's like the end of the story.
Right.
And I mean, there have actually been some UFO investigators that actually all of a sudden show up dead. And,
Oh, wow.
and
Really?
they're like they died in their home and they found their body and they just like, it's funny. I think the government's involved in some way because they just say, oh, it was an accident, or maybe they OD'd or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
I mean, out of the clear blue, they die.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like Mothman and stuff, it's like they show up, and I think I've got my own little theory on why they're kind of connected with this cryptid instead of UFOs. I feel like, I mean, where did the Mothman come from? Like, how did it get here?
Right.
I feel like there might have been some type of portal. I mean, this is just my opinion or thought,
Good.
whether it's true or not, But
That's why you do research.
I
But,
know.
yeah, right. There
I
you
feel
go.
like some type of portal that somehow this creature got into our realm, and you got Men in Black trying to either find it and get it out of here and try to, contain the, all the sightings and the incidents with them, and try to keep us from, a mass panic that we've got these creatures running around. And I feel like this is the case because all of a sudden the Mothman sighting stopped like instantly.
Yeah, right.
So that, the bridge that fell, and now and I feel like it's some type of creature. Now we're seeing it was it Chicago?
Yeah, recently in Chicago, but in 2000 and 2001, there were reports of seeing him around New York, but not as much as like what's going on in Chicago. But in the New York sightings, it wasn't just New York City. He was seen more around upstate and Long Island, around that area.
Okay.
But why? I don't know. The other theory about Mothman is that he could have been something created by the government through experimentation.
Okay.
Stuff like that's Plum Island, stuff like that, and that either he broke out or he was made in that area of West Virginia, stayed there, but then when they shut everything down, he got out or something.
Hmm.
And that's what the Men in Black were trying to wrangle up. But, maybe there's more than one. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
And that stuff, like Alan Greenfield made a bunch of books about UFOs, which brings in Mothman and Indrid Cold, but it's not specifically about Mothman or Indrid Cold. It's about UFOs and his connection with Indrid Cold and UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
And he spoke in the National UFO Conference, and one of the things he kind of mentioned, which brings my theory about Indrid Cold, is just a name. It's just like a title.
Right.
And that other people have done it, and that's the person who knows the secrets or who knows the stuff that's going on, and when they get too old, they pass it to another person.
Right. Kind of like the
And
name Deep Throat.
yeah,
Deep Throat started with Watergate, but then there have been other people who now have used that kind of moniker.
yeah,
Right. To
and
share information.
that was where I got that theory about Indrid Cold. The more things are starting to come out, like with Skinwalker, I really believe that the U.S. government has created technology that they don't understand, and it's kind of created things that, like Mothman,
Mm-hmm.
that has been going out there. And you have the Kentucky hobgoblins.
Yep.
In their trials and research, did they find another set of creatures down in Earth, and that they come out and they're now starting to trying to figure us out.
Right.
Is that what this is about? Is there creatures that live down there that we didn't know about? And we're saying that they're messing with us, but really it's just how they are, and they're trying to figure us out.
Okay. And I want to get back to Skinwalkers, but I wanted to ask you, what is going on in Chicago? Can you get what's going on with those sightings? How many of there been?
If you
Stuff like
go
that. Kind of background.
there's a lot of footage that's been coming out. Some of it is trash, though.
As always, we're not
trash in the air, and they're
Yep.
saying it's Mothman. But there's been sightings of Mothman flying around the skyline of Chicago, and there's been over 100, right as of now, over 115. There may be more by the time this airs. Reports to groups like MUFON and stuff about Mothman flying around in Chicago, and apparently there's footage. There's some of it on YouTube, but you have to sort through that and the fake stuff.
Yep.
To find it, and you have to do research through the people who are investigators to find out what they think is the legitimate stuff and what they think is the fake stuff. But some groups have actually gotten a hold of some footage, and they've got the actual files
Okay.
that they've went through. And if it's not Mothman, there's something pretty big flying around. And but what is it trying to warn us? Who knows? It's 2020. Maybe Mothman's probably confused now too. He's like, whatever. I'm just gonna fly around. Something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah. Who had Mothman on your 2020 bingo card? Because I didn't. I don't know about anybody else. So
Well, the sightings are not just in 2020. They started last year. The more modern sightings. There's been a couple of sightings also, but not as many. So I don't really validate them, like in Cincinnati and Indianapolis.
Okay. Okay, cool.
But it is kind of in the same area.
Okay. Yeah, well, it is all of that kind of up there. And Christina, you were talking about the Men in Black. One of the things that I always find very interesting whenever we bring that up isn't just that they go after UFOs. They go after other paranormal. Yeah,
they've always been associated with UFOs because they've always just popped up. Like if there was a UFO sighting and everybody's talking about it, they show up and try to keep everybody quiet. But they've been shown Mothman, other cryptids. They've also like you were saying with ghosts. It's so weird. Like who and people describe them not exactly being human. Like they were literally trying to disguise themselves. Like they really think that they're some type of extraterrestrial. that are dressed in these black suits, black hats. They drive a black, like, old classic vehicle.
Yeah, like the 1960s old
Mhm.
Ford, 60s and 70s, those big long Fords and Lincolns and
Yeah, and
those. Yeah,
they've
Because
also,
that's what Tommy Lee Jones likes.
well, those are pretty cool
they've
though.
also been described as like being really tall and slender, pale, the pale skin.
Hmm.
And that one description, it almost looked like the guy put on red lipstick, trying to
Oh,
put
really? Okay, I haven't heard that one. Okay, yeah.
his, like, I guess he's that pale, but I'm like, okay, we've got so much better makeup that
Hmm.
you can almost think it's real now. Like, call up Roy, like he could do it for you. Like,
Yeah, it's really not. Yeah, there's so many tutorials now on YouTube. You can get a really nice natural lip. So yeah.
exactly. I'm like, why do they so fake? Like,
What
you
about the hands?
human. Yeah,
You,
they're like long and like, yeah, they don't
Bentley is
snap
yeah,
either.
yeah.
And these are all descriptions of people that have had contact with them.
Hmm.
And it's and they're very malicious. I mean, you don't really want to come in contact with
they're kind of black-eyed
them. Yeah,
kiddish in how people say they feel when they're around them.
Hmm.
yeah, they're not like the movie at all.
No.
Not like that. And they really show up to make you shut up
Hmm.
so that you don't talk about what you experienced, what you saw.
Hmm.
And I mean, normally it is with UFOs, but they've gone to the realm of ghosts and cryptids. And I mean, it could go back to that they're all connected in some way where it's like another dimension, a portal, or something.
Hmm.
And why they're doing what they're doing, I'm assuming it's to kind of keep us from freaking out, having a mass panic that, that there is, other creatures that, in the, you know, in outer space, different different aliens.
Hmm.
And there's actually a species of alien that looks similar to us, and they're blondish.
Oh
The
yeah, the
Nordics.
Nordics. Yeah, right.
So that's what I think that they could be, or Nordics that
Hmm.
are coming down and trying to keep the peace, I
Hmm.
guess.
Well,
So
the other thing I find interesting about them, and I always think about the show Fringe because I think they did a really good job of that idea of taking the Men in Black trope, as it were, and using it well. But it's so interesting with the Men in Black. One of the things, as you said, is it's it, they're not there to understand. It seems they're there to stop, to maybe even spread disinformation, to make it all go away, not in a way of sharing information.
no,
Am I correct on that? Is
It's
yeah,
that
like damage control almost.
yeah,
there you go. That's a
exactly.
good
Yeah.
term. Yeah.
It, I mean, and that's kind of across the board with all the reports that have been in contact. It's like they came, whether you saw a UFO, whether you were abducted, and they said, hey, you need to stop talking about this. You need to stop writing about this. You need to stop researching this.
Okay.
There was one instance. This is kind of the reason why I think there could be a portal or something
Hmm.
involved. It was actually a female Men in Black.
Oh.
Showed up. I forget the guy's name. He was doing a lot of research on King Arthur, and and supposedly he was getting really close to finding the grave of King Arthur. And she showed up. Like, this is like historic. Like, why? Like, he was doing historical
Yeah.
research.
Right. Come on.
Why is he
Why
showing
is
up?
that so worrisome?
She showed up. Of course, they always come to your house. That's the freaky part.
Yeah.
How do they know where you live? I mean, they are stalking you. Like,
Hmm.
so this woman shows up, and I think they described her with having like black hair.
Hmm.
And she was apparently the women are worse than the men.
Oh
That's
wow.
I've been reading.
Hmm.
And so the woman is telling him that you need to stop, trying to find his grave, but apparently he was really close to finding it. and that if you were to open his grave, that you would actually it's a portal that you would have released all of these creatures onto our realm.
Okay.
That's what she told him.
Hmm.
So that's why I was like
Okay.
thinking, well, that could be why the Mothman, jumping around over here, and some of these other, crazy cryptids.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did last year.
That's it right there. That's it. I forgot what I did. Yeah.
I mean,
So I found King Arthur's grave. Wow.
Wow. There you
well,
go.
biologically, you look at the Mothman, like, how is this possible? Because
Mm-hmm.
you look at other, animals that fly, which like birds, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, bats, it's their body structure and how they actually are capable of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's very complex, and to have a huge creature actually I think it was bigger than a man,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I mean, it's almost impossible. Like birds, their bone structure, if you were actually look, do a cross section of a bird's
Mm-hmm.
bone, it'll be like a sponge.
Yeah. It's
There's air
mostly hollow. Yeah. They're all the air pockets. Right.
for lift, and they've done studies on the wingspan and all this stuff. But and they've even shown the Mothman, he doesn't have to get a running start.
No, it goes straight up.
Yeah. Like,
Just
what is this? Like, this is completely
He's like a bumblebee.
exactly.
ah, yeah. Bumblebees do that. Yes. They're not supposed to be able to fly.
And
Yeah. Sorry. Keep
the
going.
mass to size ratio here that's going on, like, and to do that is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And he can disappear like Bigfoot.
Well,
Mhm.
and I was going to get into that because we want to talk a little bit about Bigfoot, and that's one of the things that keeps coming up kind of with the portal idea. And William, you had said you'd gotten some stuff about portals or UFOs, and you've
Yeah,
been doing
well,
some recent research.
in my UFO research throughout the years, there's this whole thing about portals, and that other people will refer to it as wormholes, where that's why they can travel so fast from area to area and go to places. But I've always had this theory that some of the ghost sightings that we've had has to be UFO or aliens, that they're in another dimension, and that's why we can't see them.
Hmm.
But we know they're there. And then especially the ones that make communication, because you have like the residual hauntings where the stuff happens over and over, or like in some of the investigations I've done with Christina, you hear the footsteps, you sense the weight,
Mm-hmm.
but you make no communication. But then you have the ones where you hear the stuff, you see the stuff moving, they make communication, they kind of know what they're talking about, which is strange if you were talking to someone from the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, for instance, there's these people, well, in Hellier, where they make communication with Indrid Cold
Yes.
through using a spirit box and stuff like that.
And that was
And
the
and that's bizarre.
Well, I got to say, that was the only part of Hellier. I don't like jump scares, so I'm not a real big horror fan, things like that. And the only part of Hellier that actually made me go, oh, I'm not sure about this anymore, was when he had the mask on and the headphones on, and just having that, and then it was like whatever he would just say all these words that made sense, like over there.
Yeah,
It's
well,
very,
even
very
talking
creepy.
about stuff
Yeah,
that they were doing right then and there.
yeah, right
Like,
then,
it's
right,
like
yeah,
you're gonna pick something up, or they're asking where something is in the patio, and they'll
yep,
tell them it's right over there.
yep,
And then they're having like full on conversation.
mm-hmm,
And then
yeah.
when they ask who it is, it's Indrid Cold.
It's in
And
Chicago.
so I'm like, that's a portal.
It's
That that
something, yeah.
that's interdimensional. I mean, if you're talking to a ghost,
Mm-hmm.
per se. And that's my thing about it. It's always been that they can manifest themselves in and out of I like to use the term dimensional plane,
Mm-hmm.
and it all goes into the theory, and I think it's an Einstein theory, where all time is happening at once.
Yeah, I try not to think about that. That hurts my head too
I
much.
know.
I've heard the theory. I've read some about the theory, and
Yeah.
I'm still like, ow, that one.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
makes your
that one's
brain go,
tough.
ouch.
Yeah, a little bit.
When
Well, and
you're
sorry,
done, you're like, where's the heroin?
I, yeah. Did I accidentally? Those mushrooms said that they were button.
But the funny thing
Kroger
is
may be having a problem here with
and
their
this is where
rodent.
I take it to Bigfoot, where Christina doesn't like it, where I'm like, Bigfoot is the ghost of a caveman who's traveling interdimensionally.
Mhm. Well, it
That's why he
makes
can disappear. I
well,
mean, look at the footage. It
yeah.
looks like ghost footage.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that, as you're talking about, you can hear the steps, you can feel there's something there. That is called the back of the eye thing. If you're a mom, we
Hmm.
know you're doing something wrong. We
Hmm.
just have that feeling. It's not that we really have eyes in the back of our head. Although I'm sorry, my nephew and my son thought it for years. Um, we totally convinced them. But that is one of the things. You can hear them. You hear the knocks. You hear the grunts, and you go there and there's nothing but maybe
Hmm.
a footprint. Or you also talked about Bigfoot poo. I want to hear about Bigfoot poo. I am always, as I said, this is what I'm wearing. So Bigfoot
Okay,
poo always makes me happy.
I'll tell my version of the story.
And then I'll hear Christina's. Gotcha.
Christina
Okay.
has always talked about this Bigfoot museum in Blue Ridge, Georgia,
Yes, I
and
want to go.
That's
and they
hilarious.
have like cool things there, like Bigfoot butt print.
Oh,
That's
Uh,
fast. I,
what's his name's from Destination? Uh,
Josh.
Josh Gates' footprint of the Yeti is
mm.
there, the cast. But then I walk into this theater and I look at this and I was like, ooh, it looks like rocks. What's the big deal with rocks? And there I see it. The largest poop I've ever seen in my life. And it's a Bigfoot poop. And I'm like, wow. Okay, why?
Okay.
Why?
Yeah. I'm going to go with Y on that one too. So, yeah. But okay, now it's up in Blue Ridge, Georgia. I desperately want to go. I keep telling my husband, we just need to, nice little day trip. And
The day of it. I mean, it's like
yeah,
$8 to get in.
yeah, come on. We just go up there and all that. But
And
then
you get to see Bigfoot poop. I mean,
yeah, you get to see Bigfoot poop. I can't wait.
It's
don't
But
have to smell it.
yeah,
outside of
excellent.
Blue Ridge, so you could go to Blue Ridge too.
Yeah, see, there you go. Right. I keep trying to convince him.
Yeah, the Bigfoot. I mean, a scientist. Yeah, they're going to collect everything.
Hmm.
So they're going to collect Bigfoot.
Oh, and they have more than one Bigfoot poop there, by the way.
Oh, all
Yeah.
right. Now, Christina, we've heard about the Bigfoot poop from William. Do you, what is he telling us that's incorrect?
Nothing really.
Oh, nothing. Oh, okay. So you like the Bigfoot poop. You're like, that's kind of cool.
I mean,
Says a lot about her.
Yeah, well,
there's a
you're a
little
researcher.
sign that said Bigfoot species, and like it's weird because it's very long, long, and we're like, really?
It's bigger than a baby's arm.
I don't want to. Yeah, no.
Yeah, they actually have I guess a technical like working lab or whatever. So
Oh,
if they find like hairs or anything like that, they actually have a microscope. They can look under it. They probably have to set it off if they want to do.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of science stuff about it that's there in the museum, and they don't talk about it, but it's written down. Like why they say it's Bigfoot poop is because doing tests on it, they haven't connected it to any other type of animal in
uh-huh.
existence in the
Yeah.
area.
Yeah. Well, and there's something on one of the shows I watch where they were talking about, and it was the guy, Meldron. He was talking about it up in Idaho that they had found something and they couldn't figure out what it was. It was poop. And
Hmm.
it wasn't poop from something that should have been in those woods. So nobody knows what that poop was.
Yeah,
And there are things you can't tell.
visually, it looks different.
Oh, goody. I can't wait.
I know honestly, it looks more similar to human.
Mm.
It looked like rocks.
Well, I can't
But
wait.
it was long though.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a pile of like rat poo. It's like these little tiny pellets, Or
Yes.
here, you think about all the different types of feces, and it
My
kind of really fit in
my
it.
son has the skinny pigs, which are the hairless guinea pigs.
Uh,
It looks like brown Tic Tacs. It's very odd.
Now this looked like someone had a little too much Mexican.
Okay, and it
Yeah.
wasn't. Yeah, and then didn't feel well.
And it's long. It didn't curl up.
and there's obviously like sections.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get off the Bigfoot poop for a minute, but one of the things, because we're coming up on time, but one of the things I want to ask is, we've talked about you're doing research and things like that. Is how can people get started doing good research? Because as we've said, there's a lot of people out there where it's not good, and they are fraud, and they are on purpose fraud. And so,
Christina summed it up many years ago.
okay,
Pick up a book, start reading,
okay,
and then follow what the trail of the book,
hmm,
and on top of it, meet other people who are doing the research. Don't meet other like fanboys or fangirls who are just wanting to go investigate or wanting to be on a TV show or wanting, if you really do your work, at some point you're going to end up talking to people who want to put you on a show or stuff like that, or read your books and stuff like that. I mean, if you really want to do it, you're going to have to do it like you're going to school and do it like you're really doing it for a job.
hmm,
It can't be just for fun. I mean, it is fun,
right,
and it is a hobby because you're not getting paid most of
yeah.
the time,
Unfortunately,
but
no, yeah.
you have to treat it seriously.
Hmm.
You're not, you don't go to someone's house and say, you got demons, or
Just walking in,
look at a dog that's
yeah.
standing on it, or a bear on its hind legs, and go, that's Bigfoot.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like interested in like Bigfoot or any other cryptid, like Will said, start picking up books. There's so many books out there on, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, all these other cryptids. Start reading what other people have experienced, what they've collected,
Hmm.
what they know, and start getting your knowledge base based on other people's. And like he said, learn from other people that might do presentations that are in the field. You
Hmm.
don't have to, jump out into the woods and start, hitting trees. I
Yeah.
mean, you kind of need to know all this stuff before you go out.
Go out and hit some trees, yeah, because just
Yeah.
hitting trees doesn't help anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just gonna waste your time.
Hmm.
And you also have to do your history. Look at the stuff that was debunked and
Hmm.
understand why it was debunked.
Hmm.
I mean, you can't just follow everybody, just the people who are on the TV shows or on the podcasts. This guy had this theory, but it's now been invalidated. Why? Some of the Bigfoot footage, why has it been debunked?
Hmm.
Look at it and say and find out why.
Yeah.
There's people who'll explain it to you.
Yeah,
Well,
and
sorry, yeah.
some of these
Keep going.
books that you can find on Bigfoot are really, some of them are really intricate. Like they will actually tell you like why this foot cast is legit. I mean, you can look at the ridges, like for somebody to, and the shape and all these little details, for somebody
Mhm.
to fake that
Yeah.
would be really difficult. I mean, I actually have some pictures. I don't know.
Well, oh goody.
I mean, look at these.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard to fake.
Right.
She carries those pictures with her all the time.
Well, that's okay. You never know when you're going to need them. You never know. Well, and I think that's the thing too about Dr. Jeff Meldrum is that he'll talk about it and he'll say, nope, I can tell you right now, this and this and this makes it no. And then he talks about some metatarsal ridge. I don't hold me to that, folks. And how the foot bends and how it sits and things like that. And I'm like, you're making sense. You're a PhD. I'm at least going to listen to you.
Well, like some of the footage, the way they can tell it's a costume instead of a real person is the way the hair and the skin moves.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I mean, even in movies where they take their time and they do good special effects, he says this is not natural. If your skin if you had skin and you had hair and the wind's blowing this way, your hair would be blowing that way and your skin would be going that way. And I was like, it does make sense.
Yeah, it does. Well, and that's the thing too. I think I've found a lot of times when I'm reading, and I'm sure you too as well, when you start in this, is that all of these books are they've got some science behind them. They've got some other research behind them. They're well documented. They're well footnotes or endnotes or whatever that they'll show, where you're going for this or that or the other. And Dr. Meldrum, as we said, he's a PhD. His are, it's kind of that regular style of this is a researcher writing about this. So
Yeah.
got a lot of backup on it.
But then you have the weird thing of how Bigfoot just disappears.
Yes, right. Yeah.
I mean, that's the part that intrigues me the most because it's like, okay, everyone's like, is he real? Is he fake? And do we see him? There's video footage. There's old 8mm footage.
Hmm.
But then he just goes behind this tree, and that's that.
And that's that.
I think,
Uh,
I think we're underestimating the intelligence of Bigfoot.
Mm.
I think they're very highly intelligent.
I mean, one's called Daryl.
Well, yeah.
What? Okay, now wait. Now, huh?
The progressive Bigfoot.
Oh,
The
okay.
progressive commercial where she
Oh,
goes,
that one,
Bigfoot, and goes,
yes.
what did you call me? My name is Daryl.
Oh, oh, well, there you go. I got it now. Okay, so we are almost at time, but I want you guys to let people know, where can they find you on the net? Where can they find websites with your information or your groups?
All right,
So,
well, the website information, well, our investigation information on our websites is limited now
mhm,
because we're taking it a lot more serious than previous years.
okay,
We're not like posting everything that we do anymore. And
and that's fine. Yeah,
yeah, and we usually talk about it on podcasts, and you can find it on atlradiox.com.
atlradiox.com. Got it.
Yeah, it's a radio station that Christina and I and another friend of mine started. We play music 24/7, rock music, but we host podcasts
Mm,
where it has our information, and the podcasts are also about our investigations, but also what we're thinking about with other people's investigations and TV shows and stuff like that. We throw our opinion out there, right or wrong.
that's why you didn't say it was truth. You said it was
Yeah.
opinion. There you go. That's all good. Yeah.
And she's on Facebook mostly.
Oh, okay.
Mostly. I mean, I
Yeah.
do have Instagram and Twitter, but I'm not very active on those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are
Oh,
too
And
many now. There are just too many. I
God,
can't.
you
Yeah.
can't keep up, and
No.
you have to be on there like, oh,
I
you
can't.
know,
Yeah.
tweeting every 2 seconds.
I just can't.
But
Nope.
you can find her under her name on Facebook.
Christina
There's
Kiefer, Kieffer, people.
Yeah,
Just
now for
spell it out.
everyone to know, one is her personal page where she won't accept you, and the other one is her pro page.
And she will accept you.
Yeah.
There, it's probably easy to tell which one is which, right,
Oh
Christina?
yeah.
Actually, no, I think both have the same picture right now.
No, they're different. I think one has like 25,000 followers, or you could just follow like.
Oh yeah.
That one, the 25,000. Yeah, I would go with that one. That would be good.
And then I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook under Will Imerich. Instagram is usually pictures that you can find on my Facebook too, so it doesn't really matter. Twitter is where I run rampant, and you just see me go crazy.
Okay, there you go.
I talk about anything and everything, and then when people try to badmouth me, I have fun with them.
Oh, okay. Good warning. There you go.
Yeah.
Good warning. Right
And
up
then the
front on that.
Facebook is mostly promotions. I talk freely on there. You can find stuff and my opinions
Mhm.
on investigations, and I also post information on other investigations that it's cool to know about,
Okay.
and then find links to listen to the music all the time. And then
Excellent.
on ATL Radio X, you can hear both of her and I when it's on the radio station, mostly talking about the music.
Okay. Very cool. All right. Well, I want to thank you both for taking time out to record this, and
No
we
problem.
cannot wait until 2021, what I'm calling the year of epic, so we can see everybody and
Yeah.
talk in person.
See you in person next year, please. I can't do this another
Yeah,
year.
I bought a Godzilla costume for this year.
When I came into 2020 January, I was like, "This is it. This is the year."
Yep.
It was the opposite.
Because I wanted to run around with inflatable dinosaurs, but be Godzilla.
But I'm right there with you, actually. I would love it. And there's the puppy. Hi, puppy.
My cat's asleep on the sofa, and I don't want to get clawed to death.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
This is Athena.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
Athena.
Athena. Hi, Athena. Aren't you such a cute pupper? Sorry, we like puppies. Everybody else, it's not.
I'm a cat person in
Well,
the
I'm
room.
a cat person too, but the cat that we have is picked my husband, not my cat.
Mine's a miniature wiener.
A little mini wiener. Hi,
She's
buddy.
over a year old, so she's
Yeah.
pretty full.
I call them all puppers. It doesn't matter, but it's not a Zoom call until we see some pets.
Yeah, my precious Pickles died last year, so that's why she's not roaming around. So I'm just left with Poo Poo Head.
Poo Poo Head. I like that
Yeah,
name. That's actually
she's an oversized calico. She's not fat. She's just big and
big.
loves attention until she's asleep.
And then it's like, yep, nope. No,
Yeah, you wake her up, you're not going to have fingers.
no, yeah. Always, one of the things I always say about cats is that 5 of their 6 ends are pointy when they're lying down. And
Yeah.
I remember one person went, which end is that? Oh, yeah, that's not pointy. I was like, no, it can still do a lot of damage, but it is
Yep.
not pointy. So, all right, well, we will end on that. Oh, and Mary Hire is the person who owns the paper in Point
Yes,
Pleasant.
yes,
Mary
yes.
Hire. I looked it up while I was quietly like doing it over here.
I was looking for some injured cold stuff while
We all have
Christina was
our own.
talking.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is if you guys Google injured cold, guess what you're going to find now? You used to find a lot more stuff. Now you only find the Mothman Prophecies movie.
Interesting. Not
And
good.
I'm not going to lie. I was doing some injured cold stuff like 2 weeks ago and found a lot more stuff
And then
than
all
I
of
am
a
right
sudden,
now.
something's happened with mom. Huh.
Maybe they can manipulate your Google settings and
Oh,
No,
Lord.
because I did it both on the
but they
I
know
was I was doing it on the pad and on the iMac, and it was like
you.
maybe. Well,
You never know.
you've heard the footsteps on the roof. You know they're following me.
Yes, right. Yeah. If I'm not doing something that's upsetting the if I'm not doing something that's upsetting the man, I am not doing my job.
I know, right?
There we
I
go.
mean, when
Especially this year.
I meet Dan Aykroyd and we have a 1 hour conversation, we know we're messing with people.
There you go. All right. Well, we will end this. Bye, guys. Thank you so
Have
much for
fun,
being
everybody.
on. Woohoo! All right. And